Hi guys, so thank you for coming back to the next video. Obviously I left you on the last one with this opening of Prince William's speech, and I just asked you to do these things to identify how and where he tries to create a strong ethos, i.e. tries to present himself as trustworthy, knowledgeable, genuinely caring, a good person and one of us. So hopefully you picked out a few bits. Obviously straight away at the beginning, we can see how Prince William is keen to be really polite and respectful towards his audience. Your Excellencies, ministers, ladies, gentlemen, welcome to London. Now, didn't need to list, did he, there? He could have said, everybody, welcome to London. But this is a good technique in persuasive speaking, and a common feature of rhetoric is dividing the audience into groups so that you can feel like you're talking to each section of the audience separately. So we start to feel more personally engaged with what's being said. And obviously then he uses this second person pronoun you, doesn't he? He talks to his audience directly to make them feel that they're valued, and he establishes the topic, a common desire to end the illegal wildlife trade. So straight away, within the first few seconds of him talking, we know exactly what his speech is about. This next section is effective, I think, then, because he uses an anecdote. He uses a short story from his own experience. He tells us that he's been to Namibia, Tanzania, Kenya. All of this helps us know that he's knowledgeable and that he genuinely cares, doesn't it? Because he's not just telling us we should all do more to stop the illegal wildlife trade. He knows what he's talking about. He's been to these places. He cares enough to go, but also it suggests that he's knowledgeable because he's been there. So straight away, he's not getting into any persuasion particularly yet, but he's creating this ethos. He's selling us himself as being knowledgeable. The other thing I think is effective with William's structure here is he talks about the tremendous work being done. He could easily have started with something much bleaker, couldn't he? He could have said, I saw some terrible animals slaughtered, their horns sold, because there are terrible things happening. But instead, he starts with the positive. He starts with the good things. And I think this is an effective way to engage people in what is a really emotive topic, to lead with what's happening. Sometimes it can seem like if everything's awful, well, what's the point of even trying because it's all too hard? But what he's saying is we're making so much progress, it's worthwhile keeping going. And then he makes this little joke, doesn't he? Some of the rhinos I saw are under such threat they have more bodyguards than I do! Exclamation mark. He's trying to get a bit of a laugh. So he's trying to say that he's one of us, in the sense that he's funny. Even though he's got this high status position as a future King of England, he can have a little bit of a laugh at himself. And then obviously lastly, wouldn't it be better though if the demand for rhino horn dropped to the extent they didn't need anyone to protect them at all? And of course, that's the key to it, isn't it? It's not about punishing the people who are doing the poaching. It's about cutting off the supply. If nobody bought the rhino horn, the elephant tusk, there was no value for it, it wouldn't have a market. So he sets up his ideas, he praises people, shows he knows what he's talking about, tries to set up a kind of positive, we can do this approach at the beginning, but then he uses this rhetorical question at the end to kind of lead us into what he wants to achieve. Okay, so I just think this is a nice example of creating ethos. We don't have much persuasion yet. We know what the topic is, but we haven't really got into the nitty-gritty of what he wants the audience to do or think or feel. What we've got a sense of is this is someone that I'm interested in listening to. This is somebody who really cares, who's knowledgeable and trustworthy, so I'm ready to buy into what he's got to say. Okay, so what I'd like to do is just to write up a little bit, a couple of sentences, just to, in your own words, explain some of those things I just talked you through. So the question is, what is the most effective way that William creates an appealing persona, i.e. how does he create ethos? So it is clear that Prince William creates a strong ethos by, tell me things he does, because he, so that. You don't have to use the sentence prompts if you find them confusing. I just want a few sentences that summarise what has Prince William done at the beginning of that speech to create ethos, to sell himself to us as an audience before he gets to his main arguments. Okay guys, so all I'd like to do as the last thing today is a opening to a speech. So the context is, we're going to do it's a bit of a mundane topic, but starting with something straightforward and concrete is the best way to practice persuasion. So the task I've created is for you to write a short speech aimed at persuading other students at college to improve the local environment by taking part in litter picks. That's really important where you guys live, isn't it? Lots of you live by the beach, you know what a state they can get in, and it does ruin the environment. So it's a really concrete, nice thing people can do to make their own community better. But all I want you to do is to write the opening. Imagining you were going to deliver this speech and you were just writing the first minute. And all you're going to do is try and create a strong ethos. So you're going to establish for the audience that you're talking about litter picks, and you're just going to try and sell yourself to try and make the audience feel that you're a good person who knows what you're talking about and that they should believe in you enough to be bothered to listen to the rest of your speech. And if you're stuck on that, take Prince William's speech and just use his to write yours. So he begins with, "Your Excellencies, Ministers, Ladies and Gentlemen, welcome to London." Well, if you're delivering a speech at school, you could just start yours with, "Students, teachers, and members of the Student Council, welcome to this assembly." Yeah, so you can modify his to make it relevant to yours. He then says, "It's heartening to see so many of you here today, united by a common desire to end the illegal wildlife trade." So again, "I'm delighted to see so many of you here today, united by a common desire to tidy up our beaches, to improve the environment and to get rid of some litter." Yeah? You can also use exactly the same strategy as him, telling an anecdote. You can claim that you've been visiting local beaches and assessing or doing some litter picks, and there's already wonderful things happening, but there's so much more that can be achieved. And then you can obviously finish in a similar way. "Wouldn't it be better if our beaches weren't covered in plastic pollution?" So you'll need to vary it a little bit because your topic is different. But in terms of creating ethos and building the initial part of your speech, just use Williams as a model to help you. Okay, guys, obviously you can keep that safe because we're going to work on this speech and this ideas throughout the week, and then you can send it all to your teachers at the end of the week. It's really important you send stuff to your teachers, guys, because we can't plan what to do next if we don't see your work. So either on a Friday, make time to send all of your work you've done in the week to your teachers just by sending us photographs, or every day send us a bit if you'd like a bit of feedback day by day. It's totally up to you, but please do send us work, particularly if you wanted help or advice. Thanks, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.